In this GoPro mounting tips and tricks video, I'm going to be showing how to make a GoPro Mast Mount. Now this one that I made here is for a laser sailboat, and it has a tubular mast. It's 2 inches in diameter on the mast. So I've actually got some 2-inch PVC. It's a little bit bigger than 2-inch PVC. It's about, well, it is 2-inch PVC, but it works out at about 2.3 inches for the inside of the pipe dimension. So it's a bit big for the mast. I've put carpet on the inside of it, which makes a really nice tight fit. 1.5 inch PVC is too small. It goes on, but it doesn't do up very well. So I've got 2-inch PVC for the 2-inch mast. It's bound together with a hose clamp. You can see there's a GoPro Tripod mount on the end. It is sliced down the back side, which is really nice, especially on my laser, because the sail slides onto the mast on a sleeve, and then the sail comes out the back here. So it does have to be fully split on the back, and there can't be anything going around this piece of the pipe that would interfere with the sail. So this one's very this mast mount is built specifically for my laser. If you have another kind of sailboat, you could definitely use this as well. You just may have to, if you have a track on your mast, you may just want to put 2 slices in here and make this a little bit wider on the back. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make it. I will begin though by giving you a little tour of this mount and how it works. I will take it apart and you can have a look. To take it apart, you simply undo the hose clamp, slide the hose clamp off, and then just lift the top piece right out. So that's the top piece of, or that's half of the PVC T. This is the other half, the PVC T with a plug in it. Now this is a PVC 2-inch plug. This piece is actually really hard to find, and I don't know, the Home Depot I went to originally when I made the mount did have it, and everyone I've gone to since then to try and find one so I can make this video hasn't had it. So for this video I'm going to be using a ABS plug. It's a little bit different. I don't think it's quite as good, so if you can find the PVC plug, I would definitely go with that, but if not, this will work just fine. On the inside you can see I've got a big completely threaded bolt that goes all the way through the mount with the bolt or a nut bolting it on right at the bottom here. This holds the plug and the bottom piece of the T together. The reason for the nub of the bolt sticking at the top is so that when it goes together and I put the hose clamp on, the hose clamp can't slide off the mount. There's a tendency when it's mounted to try and do this, which means the hose clamp would slide off the mount if it didn't have anything stopping it. So that's why the bolt goes all the way through. Again, the carpet is simply stuck on with some double-sided sticky tape. And then on the inside of the mount you can see we have a hole with a 3/4 inch by 20 bolt that goes through it onto our tripod mount. There's also a locking washer on the inside of that. So let's see how we build it. Alright, so in terms of tools that we're going to need today, we're going to need our drill to put our holes into for the bolts to go through. One of them will be a 1/4 inch drill bit, and the other one, the bolt I'm using, has got a square head on the inside of it, so we need a little drill bit, and I'll show you how to make your hole, your round hole that you've drilled with the 1/4 inch bit, square using the little drill bit. That's about a 3/32 drill bit, but you can use any size that's close to that and small. We've got a pair of pliers to do our bolts up with, or our nuts up with. We've got an X-Acto knife, always useful, and we've got a screwdriver and a hacksaw. The hacksaw is what we're going to use to cut our piece of PVC pipe in half, and of course the screwdriver will be used to do up the couple different mounts and the hose clamp that we'll be using. Now we're just going to have a quick look at the hardware we need to make this mount today. We're going to be using a 2-inch PVC T. We need a plug for the end of it. This is an ABS plug. This was one I could find here. This was one I found when I was making my mount for the first time, and I haven't been able to find it again. This is a 2-inch PVC plug. This is an ABS plug. They're just a little bit different. If you can find this one, I like this one better. If not, an ABS plug should work just fine. We need a hose clamp that'll fit around a 2 3/4 inch opening, so at least that big. Make sure that all of your hardware, or all of your nuts and bolts and your hose clamp is all stainless steel, because stainless steel won't rust and it'll be a lot nicer for your mount. The hardware has all been bought at a marine store. The PVC and the ABS has been bought at a hardware store. We've got the hose clamp. We have the GoPro Tripod mount. We are going to be needing that. This is a 3-inch bolt, fully threaded 3-inch bolt. A nut that goes on it. These are all 1/4 by 20 hardware, all of it. Now, this is the mounting hardware for the tripod mount. This little one here, this 1/2 inch, is the perfect size for the original plug that I used. So that, with a locking washer that goes on it, simply slides to the plug, and the tripod mount works really well with that one. However, now that we're getting into using this one, I don't think, because it's indented, the tripod mount will sit too low, I think, to be effective in there. So we are going to need a little bit longer bolt, and then we're going to have to space it up using another nut. So that's why I've got the 2 additional sizes here to figure out which one works. After building this mount, I found that I needed to use the 1-inch bolt as well as 2 spacer nuts between the plug and the tripod mount. There is only 1 nut shown in the video, so you will need to be picking up 3/4 by 20-inch nuts. There will be a complete parts list included in the video's description. I've also got some carpet that I'm going to be putting inside the T-fitting to add as insulation, as well as a lot of padding, which makes it fit really nice and tight. And to attach the carpet, I'm going to be using VHB 3M double-sided sticky tape. You can pick this up at most hardware stores. It's they sell it as like a nail replacement for outdoor fixtures, but it's great stuff and it's really quick and easy to use. So that's what we're going to be using to attach our carpet. And I think that's just about it in terms of hardware. So let's get started actually building it. So our first step is going to be to insert the plug into the middle, into the T, and then put the hole through it for our bolt that's going to hold the whole thing together. So for this, I measured to make sure I know how long the plug is, so I know if it's where I can put my hole in here, and I find that it's about 3/4 of an inch long, which means I'm going to want to put my hole right in the middle at about just under 3/8 from the end of this. The reason we're doing this first before we cut it is that way, when it's all finished, our hole is going to be still perfectly centered and our bolt is going to fit through very, very well. So go ahead and push in the plug. Make sure you get it all the way in. Now, our hole, we want to come from the top here and come out right there. We're going to be using the 1/4 inch drill bit and our drill. So, insert your drill bit, and then just eyeball here where we want this to go in. I'm looking like pretty close to the end. Now this is going to be a bit of a tricky hole to drill because you can't cut the edge there, and you also can't end up too close to the inside of the plug. So take your time. Alright, now I'm through the first layer of PVC. I'm going into the ABS now. Alright, there you go. I can see that I'm now in the ABS. I'm just going to clean out that hole a little bit. That's pretty well centered in inside the ABS, so that's good. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure that I line up on the other side of the ABS square as well. So I'm going to start drilling that out. If you want to check it, you can get your 3-inch bolt and slide it through and make sure that it goes through quite well. You will see though that, of course, the square head on this doesn't fit into this hole just yet. We will do that next. Now we have to get the plug out of the PVC pipe. Alright, now we have got our PVC T, our ABS plug, and now we've got to make the hole for the bolt that the bolt goes through square so that the bolt will actually fit in. To do this, we're going to put the little drill bit in our drill, and then very carefully, we're going to insert the drill and drill into the hole, and then you're going to go sideways into the 4 corners. You're going to make a square hole out of this. And you can see that it'll actually eat through the side of the PVC pretty quick. You can see how I've already flattened out the bottom of it. Now I'll do the top. And you can see how that hole is becoming quite square. Just check it periodically with your bolt and see how you're coming with it. Just keep working on it. It will eventually just slide in perfectly. And there you guys go. You can see that it fits perfectly well in now. The bolt is very snug in there, so there's what my hole ended up looking like. Just a little bit of cleanup, and it looks pretty good. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but again, the square head of the bolt does now fit into the PVC pipe, just like that. Our next step is going to be to slice the whole PVC pipe in half. So to do that, we're going to use our hacksaw, and then we're just going to eyeball line it up and just start working on it. Take our time and go really slowly, and we will eventually get through it. This will take quite some time. And with that, we are left with 2 halves of a PVC tee with the hole for the mount drilled in the center, which is we know going to fit because we drilled it before we cut it. The next step now is just to clean up your workspace, and then we will stick some carpet on the inside and see how the whole mount goes together. Now that we have the 2 halves of our mount, we're going to need our carpet, our X-Acto knife, and our double-sided sticky tape. Now we're going to take our double-sided sticky tape. We're just going to run 2 pieces of it on either side of the mount. We're going to start here like that, and then run this tape down, and make sure we keep it square, and up the other side like that. And then we're going to cut off flush at the top with our X-Acto knife, just like that. Then we're going to repeat that at the top and the other mount as well. Alright, so now you can see we've got the 2 halves of the mount with double-sided sticky tape inside them. The next step now is going to be to get the carpet put inside as well. This carpet is too wide for what I want it for, so I am going to make it smaller. I'm going to use my cutting board, carpet over onto the back, and then just run my knife till I get a width that I'm half with. I think that looks awfully good. We'll measure off how much we're going to need. Mark that, and then slice a little piece off like that. Check it. Yeah, that's the right size. So we'll just make 4 pieces all that size. Now, to put this on, peel off the red protective coating. Take one of these pieces of our carpet, which we've pre-cut to the right size. Start by sticking the top down, and then roll it in all the way around, and then just push down on it for a little bit, and that'll set the tape up. Then we're going to do the same with the other 3 pieces. So peel off the red protective coating, take the carpet and stick it in. You'll see here that I am using my X-Acto knife to just get the corner of the red protective coating up. And if any of them stick out a little bit like that one did, simply taking your knife, holding onto the carpet, and slicing it off flush will take care of that problem. We don't have any way to mount the tripod mount yet, so we'll do that. We'll get our plug, get our 1/4-inch drill bit. Before you go and drill your hole, slide your bolt in, then take the nut and thread it on from the inside, and then you're just going to wind it all the way down. Doesn't have to be too tight, just snug it up. So this gives you an idea of where this bolt's going to be. Now you can take your little bolt, or your little shorter bolt, and you can put it beside it. Now there is going to have to be room in here for the head of this bolt, because we're going to put a couple nuts on the back of it. So there's going to be room for that head to fit in there. But it also can't be too far to the edge, because if it's too far to the edge, the tripod mount isn't going to fit in. So it's a very fine spot. It does fit. I did check it. So just eyeball that, and then that's where you're going to want to put your hole. So just very slowly. This plastic's really not very hard to drill, so this, oh, and I'm through. Clean up the hole a little bit. There's our hole in the center. Now you can check it. Slide the bolt up, and then screw the tripod mount on, and you can see that my tripod mount fits in very well beside the mount, inside the lip of the plug, and beside the bolt. Alright, so now I've got all of our pieces that we're going to need out. Again, if you are using the PVC plug like this one, you're going to want the 1/4-inch by 20 bolt. That's if you're using this PVC plug. If you're using the ABS plug, you are going to be needing to use the 1-inch 1/4-inch by 20 bolt. So we're going to start, we're putting it through our only hole. If you only had one hole, it is the offset hole. Put that one through there. We're going to need a locking washer on the bottom of it, going through like that. A washer on the top, and then one bolt spun down. You can use your pliers or your wrench, tighten this up good and tight, and you can see the locking washer does exactly what it's supposed to do and flattens out. We're going to be putting a second bolt on here just to add as a spacer. Pin that one down just like that, and then we're going to go ahead and put this into our top piece of our full half of the PVC. Line up the screw holes. Again, I am using the one with the square hole, so this goes through there just like that. But before we do that, we have to put the other nut on the end of it. So this is a bit tricky. It's got to spin through the hole, through the PVC plug, or through the ABS plug, through the nut, and then it's got to go and get spun into the other side. Alright, so the last step, once you get your bolt through and the nut tightened down, just take your pliers or your wrench or whatever you're using and tighten down the nut just the last little bit so that's snug. Then you can go ahead and screw on your tripod mount, and if it doesn't line up the way you like, you can turn the bolt on the bottom until it does. Alright, so you can use the bolt on the back. Once you get this tight, you can use your wrench or your pliers to spin the bolt on the back, and it will get the tripod mount lined up just the way you want it. For mine, I want it facing straight up and down because then the camera can go on it and point straight down at the boat. For the final mount, piece of the mount, we're going to take the other half, slide it over the pin or the bolt, take our hose clamp, slide it over the bolt first, and then the other side of the end of the bolt. Then we're going to get our screwdriver out and tighten the whole thing down. And you can see it snugs up really nicely. It's super solid. It's not going to be moving around on your mast at all. Now I'm going to show you how to install the mast mount onto the mast of your boat. I'm going to begin by splitting the mast mount in half, sliding the bottom part underneath the sail, and then fitting the top piece over top of the bolt so the whole thing fits together very snugly. Next, we're going to take the hose clamp and slide that over top of our mast mount and then tighten it down. The mast mount is now securely fastened onto the mast with the split on the back around the sail. Next, we're going to take the camera and slide that onto the tripod mount. You can see here that I have both extender bars, the short ones coming out from the tripod mount and then the long one going to the camera. This puts the camera off to one side is from the mast mount and allows for more of the boat to be captured, but only on one tack. If you mount your camera directly onto your tripod mount, you get fairly good results on both tacks. However, if you mount the camera off to one side, as I did in this video, you will get awesome results on one tack and mediocre results on the other tack. The last step, of course, is to tighten up all of the GoPro nuts and bolts using your screwdriver, and then finally tie the camera onto your mast. For mine, I ran a string from the securing loop of my GoPro camera to the top of the mast where the strap goes over the top of the sail. Now that we've completed building our GoPro Mast Mount and mounted it on our sail, it's time to use our GoPro camera to get some awesome shots. I can assure you that using this GoPro mount will get you some awesome video footage, as well as a very unique perspective that you will not have gotten while using your GoPro camera before. Thank you guys for watching. This was another GoPro mounting tips and tricks video. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. It really helps me out. It helps me know that you're out there and enjoying these. Leave me a comment and like the video. If you have any other places you'd like to see GoPro mounted, maybe you haven't seen it before or you're something you're wondering about, drop me a comment and I will be happy to help out the very best I can. Thank you for watching.